Hello, welcome to Here We Go. In this lesson, let's explore the phenomenon of mutual life, or Seki. So the basic pattern for mutual life in the life and death context looks something like this. We will talk about mutual life in the capture race scenario in another chapter. But here, in the life and death scenario, we have black surrounding the white pattern and the white pattern surrounding the three black stones in the middle. So what is going on here? Both the white group and the three black stones are alive. So what is going on in this pattern is that neither side can move. If black moves, then white will be able to capture this into a straight 4, which is a living shape. Or if black tries this, white will be able to capture black, and this will be a bent 4, also a living shape. Similarly, white cannot move either. If white moves, in this scenario, black can capture all of white. Even if black doesn't move and passes, white can only capture 3 black stones. And because this is a straight 3, black will be able to kill white this way. So white also cannot play. If neither side can play to their own advantage, it is in the best interest of both sides to just leave the pattern as it is. And that is why we have mutual life. Now let's look at some examples. They're either mutual life or they're not. In both real games and life and death problems, you need to be really careful because you need to analyze these semi-mutual life shapes on a case-by-case basis because they can be really tricky. So let's look at the upper left. It seems almost the same as the first example we saw, but this is not a mutual life. Why? Because if black fills in here, we have a dead shape, a farmer's hat, and black will be able to kill white this way. Remember, in our previous pattern, black will either make it into a straight 4 or a living bent 4. But here, because black can make it into a farmer's hat or a pyramid 4, white is already dead. Similarly, white cannot play. If white plays, white can only capture a bent 3, and black will be able to capture. So it's never a good idea for whites to play in this scenario. But eventually, because black has this possibility of making it into a dead shape, white is dead in this scenario. It is not a mutual life scenario. Now let's look at the lower left. This shape also looks like mutual life, and I can tell you the answer here. It is not. Why, you might ask? If white plays here, this is a bent 4, it's a living shape. If white plays here, this is also a bent 4, a living shape. And of course, black cannot go. If black goes here, black can only capture these 3 stones, and it will be a bent 3, a dead shape. So I just did the analysis as if this is mutual life. But the main problem is that there is a cutting point here, meaning if white occupies all the liberties on the outside, white can form an Atari on these 3 stones. And now black must connect, or else white will capture. So there is a weakness in black's shape that makes this not a mutual life scenario. So this is, in fact, a dead shape for black because this will eventually become a bent 3. So this shows us that even if we have the bent 4 shapes, it can still be a dead pattern because of the weaknesses in black's pattern. So first consider whether it can be made into a dead shape. And second, consider whether one side can make an Atari and eliminate the semblance of mutual life. Now let's look at a more challenging one on the upper right. The question is still, is this mutual life? So as we see, the ice space is quite big. The ice space is 7. If we allow white to capture 6, then it's probably alive. Now the question is, can black exhaust white's liberties from within? For the sake of our analysis, and when you're calculating on your own, you should have all the liberties occupied on the outside, like this. And now if we look at black, can black play anywhere? If black plays here, white doesn't have to play. If black plays here, then white will capture and be alive. Black plays here, then black will have wasted a move and gone back to the original pattern. Maybe black should try this, but white will still pass, right? And now, if black plays here, white will capture. This is a living shape. If black plays here, then white will do this. It's also a living shape. And white cannot go anywhere. If white goes here, then white can only capture a bulky 5, so white will be dead. So this pattern, surprisingly, is a mutual life. And how many points does black have? Black actually has 1 point in here, and white has 0 points, but it is alive. Or alternatively, white can play here to eliminate this point for black. If black connects, this is still mutual life because white cannot play, right? If white plays, white can only capture a pyramid 4 or farmer's hat, which is a dead shape. So white is frozen and black cannot play. If black plays, white will capture a 5 space eye, which is alive. Same with this. White will be alive. So this is actually a mutual life pattern. Lastly, let's look at the pattern on the lower right. So first, you should realize that the corner is then a legal move for black. Black cannot play here. If you try it, the software will prohibit you from doing that. And black can also not fill in one of the 2 liberties that white has on the outside. Because if black does this, white can immediately fill in the 1-1 point and form a bulky 5 shape. Eventually, black will have to capture it, and this will be a dead shape. So if black is frozen, when you're calculating in your mind, white occupies all the outside liberties, and then you do the analysis. And now what's going on is that black only has 2 liberties left, and white has 3. So black is already dead. White will be able to capture all of black like this. So this is not a mutual life. This is a dead pattern for black. So this might appear as a mutual life shape, but it is not. But now what if we do a variation? What if we add 1 white stone here? Is this a Seki, a mutual life pattern? And the answer will change because once again, black is frozen. But when white occupies all of these liberties on the outside, now the liberty count is 2 versus 2. So if white plays one of these, this will be a living shape for black. This is also a living shape for black. So that is why if white has an extra stone here at the 1-1 point, this is actually a Seki. But if white doesn't have this point, then black is dead. So the changes are always very subtle. You really need to be careful about every pattern you see. So the takeaway here is that mutual life patterns do exist, but they're relatively rare. And in real games and life and death problems, you just need to look very closely. Give it a second thought before you decide whether it is mutual life or not. Thank you for watching.